yesterday's video was full of silliness, and I do thank you for responding to my silliness with more silliness, and there was quite a lot of it. Yesterday's video was about Kurt Zouma. If you remember, I had put Kurt Zouma's name into the Google search engine, and underneath the information which you needed was a load of questions that people had asked about Kurt Zouma, some of which were in real pidgin English I found really funny, and one of them was, who's Zouma wife? Another one, does Zouma hurt? I found a couple of others, actually. Well, I am going to talk about some other West Ham stuff, by the way. We've got to talk about Phil Jones, we've got to talk about Matches Pereira, and also David Moyes' buying policy, which I want to get into in just a second. There's a couple more, which I had a look, though, when I put Kurt Zouma's name into Google. People are actually asking, which country is Zouma? And another one, which is, what foot Zouma? What foot Zouma? Probably Bigfoot. He's a very, very big guy, but which country Zouma? Oh, now that is tough. Now, I guess they're asking, to which country does Zouma hail from? He's French, right? But which country Zouma? I would say that is the Democratic Republic of Zouma. I think that really works. That's a lot better. I want to thank Frank, to start with, who on yesterday's comment said, who is Pereira wife? Clearly preempting what is going to be on the Pereira search. Dom says, does Areola hurt? Actually, Dom, it does. It does. The chafing, but not from this fine T-shirt, which I'll get onto in just a second. Andy says, has Zouma a child? And, well, there was many on it, and I've got to thank you for joining with the spirit. I did actually have one comment which they weren't joining in, they didn't like it. It said, you know that emoji, like that? I had one of those emojis and it said the first 7 minutes of this video. Clearly, our puerile and silly sense of humour was not welcome. I would apologise, but I'm not gonna, because it tickles me. You know, what more can I say? I thought it was quite funny, all the Google searches. Anyway, I just also wanted to say that somebody had mentioned in the comments, because I said I've been camping, and it was Alpha, and he said about me, goes camping and takes a mattress. I wasn't lying. I actually did. I don't know if you can see, my mattress is... Why would you rough it? Why would I just don't see why you would rough it. There's absolutely no point. Listen, I know what you're thinking today anyway. Why do I look slightly more improved from yesterday, from the Pereira video? It's this T-shirt. Now, we're selling these. What I've got to say about this one is 2 years old. It has been washed, ironed, not so much of the ironed, maybe, but it's been washed a lot of times. It's 2 years old and it's still going strong. Let me take this off. It's a microphone. People think that's a close tag. It's not. Sorry, it's sort of catching that down. But there you go. There's a T-shirt. We're selling these. Put my microphone back. Sorry if that probably banged a bit, didn't it? Sorry, not sorry, as they say. These are available. You can click them. You can buy them at the Hammers Chat shop. All right? The link is in the description below underneath this screen. Go and check out the shop. We've got other stuff on there. We've got some really exciting stuff coming up soon. More products on the shop. At the shop. In the shop. The shop doesn't actually exist. You can't walk into it. It's not a high street. But the link's in the description below. Click on it. Go there. Get yourself a T-shirt. All of it helps Hammers Chat out. And we've also got something really exciting coming up with Canning Town Len very, very soon, which I will be discussing with you. Right. On to David Moyes. Okay, so when I was camping, I haven't done a lot in the last year and a half, so, you know, camping's going to get talked about a bit. I'm going to say it. I was coming out of... there's more to the sentence than that, obviously. We'd had Summit Suite. I'd taken the kids to Summit Suite. On this campsite, there was like a shack thing that served food. I had a beer, got the kids something to eat. And as I was walking out of there, someone said to me, I know you off the videos. Which normally only happens in and around West Ham. It does, I've got to say, it doesn't happen in Dorset on a campsite too much. Anyway, got chatting, Chris, lovely geezer, really nice guy. And it actually turned out before that, you know when all the kids mingle up on the campsite, they're all running around playing games and doing all this. Yeah, he'd actually, anyway, my daughter had been running around with his daughter. And his tent was just pitched over there. But he was from Canning Town. Now, he was an Everton fan, but his brother Jonathan is a West Ham fan. Anyway, they watched the channel. That's great. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And anyway, one of the evenings, he came over and he brought a beer over, and we sat down and we discussed football and whatnot. And he told me something really interesting about David Moyes. And I guess it was something I knew, but he said two things and about Moyes and about Everton. And he said, number one, he likes to get players from big clubs who have a point to prove. And he said also he likes a deadline day deal. Chris also said that he would have really liked David Moyes back at Everton, but it didn't happen. So anyway, so I said, what do you mean like that of a points proof? He said, well, the Lingard thing was no surprise to me. He said he's got form in this. He said it sort of was Phil Neville all over again. And he saw, what did he mention? He mentioned Louis Zaha as well. Do you remember him? He was actually a really good striker, wasn't he? He played for Fulham, then played for Man U. And then he also said they bought the midfielder Gibson from Man U. He said he actually liked to go and get players who hadn't quite made it, who hadn't quite fulfilled their potential, show faith in them, and then he'd bring them down to point to prove. So I thought, well, okay, that's really interesting. Obviously, I thought about that when we were talking about Lingard. At the point we were discussing it, we didn't know about Zouma. We didn't know about Zouma transfer. So I thought, oh, well, maybe there's another one there who hasn't been the main guy for Chelsea. And look, you know, we are. Well, look, I mean, Chris himself is an Everton fan. He watches these videos. Granted, he's from Canning Town and whatnot, but there are other. I mean, you see them on here. There's Chelsea fans, there's Leeds fans on here, Aston Villa fans, West Brom fans. People, for some reason, watch Hammers Chat. You're all very, very welcome. But what it does do is it enables us to glean opinions from the other side. I don't mean the dead. I don't mean like I mean the other side. I mean the opposition. Zouma's not highly rated for Chelsea, maybe. So I thought, oh, maybe this plays into that. You know, a point to prove. Basically, what's he guilty of? Zouma, I guess he's guilty of not being Rudiger, who is a fantastic player. Well, that's okay. It doesn't mean you're not good enough for West Ham. So I thought that was quite interesting. But it also led me on to Phil Jones. And well, hold on a second. This does tick the box, doesn't it? When, you know, listening to what Chris had to say on that about a player of a point to prove. I don't think that's a terrible signing, by the way. And I've said this before. I think Phil Jones is a good player. Just because he is not a superstar for Man United, just because he's not as good as Harry Maguire, doesn't mean he's no good for West Ham. I really do believe that. I actually think he'd be a really good player. I think he's young enough as well. I think he's got a massive point to prove. I think he is adaptable and play a number of positions, although you'd sort of want him at centre-back. I mean, he looks one of the best players in the league when he was at Blackburn, and he went to Man U. Can you ever say it hasn't worked out? I guess he's won some trophies when he's been there. I don't know. Look, on a free transfer, this is not a bad one. I've said before, I'm not against these free transfers. So that I found quite interesting. The other thing was what he said about late deals, and he said apparently Marouane Fellaini to Everton was transfer deadline day, really late, really late. What else did he say? Arteta. Apparently Arteta was a really late deal as well. And Stephen Pienaar, the winger, again, very late deal. There's just two things that got me thinking, well, okay, that Moyes likes play of a point to prove and a late deal. So, look, I'm okay, and I hate the mantra, in Moyes we trust, right? Because it doesn't leave any avenue for getting things wrong. I think his substitutions are a bit dodgy sometimes, David Moyes. But by and large, I trust him to steer the club in the right direction. I've never thought, you know this, because I've consistently said it on this channel, I've never thought for a second that he's going to lead us into a season without any signings. I just don't. He wouldn't do it. Look, at least credit the man with wanting to preserve his own reputation and give him some ambition. He's going to want to continually improve at West Ham. He's going to know that he hasn't got enough for a European campaign. So I've always known players were going to come in. And I sort of, look, I'd rather he didn't leave it till transfer deadline day. I really didn't. But, you know, listening and having that conversation over on a do you know what? It was getting a bit windy. Do you know what? It was so windy. Bless him, Chris. I've got to thank him as well. It was so windy. When I was out with the kids and I'd taken the kids to the beach, while we were paddling around, the wind came in and blew my gazebo over, and Chris had tied it down. Very good. Very much appreciated, mate. Thank you very much. Anyway, so on a windy night while we were discussing and putting the world to rights on football, I was thinking about it. Actually, this ain't too bad. I'd rather not the transfer deadline day, but it does take a bit of panic away knowing that he is prepared to go to the end to get the right guys. And also, I don't mind this thing. I think there's an old... there's an old saying in football, which never sign a player who thinks he's doing you a favour, or never sign a player on their way down. I think that was George Graham who said that. And I think that is true to a certain extent, depending on who it is and the attitude of the player. So I think if you'd achieved everything, absolutely everything at Man United, for instance, or a top club, and then you were, you know, in your mid-30s, you might leave and you think, oh, I'm doing West Ham a favour there. But if you've gone to a bigger club and you haven't quite achieved it, you might think, actually, I'm going to go there and prove them wrong. And that is an attitude to be tapped into, and I quite like that. Just finally, I'll go into this in more detail because we're already whatever we are, we're quite late in the video. It says West Ham are preparing to submit a £22 million offer for West Brom's Mathias Pereira. Look, I don't want us to prepare a bid. I think we need to bid. If this is the guy, and I've said this before, let's get him. Because I tell you what, for all the... And all at the moment, let's get this right, all we've done is sign a goalkeeper on loan. So let's not pat ourselves on the back too much just yet. And I always fall between the margins. Let's not panic just yet, but let's not pat ourselves on the back for a transfer window well done, all right? Because it ain't. We've got a goalkeeper on loan. By the way, that's an obligation to buy, as I understand. Old Harry. Areola, that's obligation to buy if he reaches a certain amount. And the wages are big, but that's all right. We've more, you know, I think just Anderson's wages themselves cover that one, so that's not really an issue on the wage front. However, I must say, if we got in Harry in goal, if we got in Pereira attacking midfield, and we also got in, who am I talking about? That's it. The other deal was that Tammy Abraham or whatever, a striker and a centre-half like Zouma or Phil Jones or whatever. I got to say, that wouldn't be a bad window. I must say, I think we'd still leave us a little bit light in central midfield. But that's not to say a loan signing can't come in there. Just someone else that can... look, I hope Conor Coventry gets more time. I really do. I like Lanzini in that position, but I think you also need another snapper, someone that can put a bite in, put a tackle in and do all that sort of stuff and cover the ground. And as good as Conor Coventry is, and I do like him, he's an elegant player. You know, I mean, someone that you're not necessarily going to miss Declan Rice if Declan Rice is out. Anyway, there you go. So that's it. More on Zouma. Who Pereira wife? What country Zouma? Oh, sorry, which country Zouma? What foot Zouma? Many questions. Many questions. I can't even speak. I still can't speak. Many questions on Google. I'm not going back now. I'm not going back and re-recording the video. Can't even be bothered to edit it. So there you go. Do your Google searches properly. And if you want some real proper advice, always take a mattress when you're camping.